Christmas Eve is usually a time for love, laughter, and joy. But in Carnation, Washington, that night turned into something no one could have imagined. 6 people from one family were murdered inside their home. It was planned by their own daughter and her boyfriend. What has actually happened, and why their own daughter killed them all, even children? On the morning of December 26, 2007, Linda Teal was worried. Her best friend Judy Anderson hadn't shown up for work at the local post office. Judy was reliable, punctual, and never skipped work without calling. Linda drove out to the Anderson family's home, a quiet property tucked into the woods outside of town. The road was still, the air cold. She parked, walked up to the door, and noticed the silence. That's when she stepped inside and saw them. Bodies. 6 people. Her best friend Judy, Judy's husband Wayne, their son Scott, his wife Erica, and their 2 young children, Olivia and Nathan, had all been shot dead. Carnation, a town of about 2,000 people, had never seen anything like this. A massacre of an entire family. On Christmas. The shock was overwhelming. Linda had to step back outside to catch her breath. She could barely make sense of what she'd seen. At first, Linda called 911.
911?
There's been a murder. There's 3 people dead that I can see right now.
Inside?
I just came up. She works with me.
Inside a house?
Yes.
What do you see?
There's a baby and a man and a woman, and she's my best friend.
She thought maybe they had all died from carbon monoxide poisoning. That would at least make sense. But inside the home, blood had soaked into the carpet. The air smelled metallic. This wasn't an accident. It was murder. Brutal and intentional. The Anderson family. Wayne Anderson was 60 years old, a hard-working Boeing engineer, the kind of man who kept to his schedule and always helped his kids when he could. His wife Judy, 61, was beloved in town. Everyone knew her from the post office. They had 2 children, Scott and Michelle. Scott was the one people said had it all, a good job, a wife named Erica, 2 sweet kids, 5-year-old Olivia and 3-year-old Nathan. Their family was the image of stability. Michelle's life, however, looked different. She lived in a rundown trailer just a short walk from her parents' home. She worked a low-paying job at Target and had been in a long relationship with Joseph McEnroe, a man most considered lazy, aimless, and bad news. Despite their differences, the Andersons seemed like a close family, but under the surface, there was tension. Michelle felt excluded. She believed her parents favored Scott, and that bitterness had been growing for years. Friends of the family had noticed small cracks in their relationships. Michelle would often complain that no one listened to her, that her brother always got more support and praise. Michelle and Joseph met in 2001 through a dating site. Their relationship became intense and dependent. Joseph had his own issues. He suffered from anxiety, had no job, and often seemed emotionally lost. Those close to him described him as a follower, not someone who made bold decisions. Joseph spent most of his time at home. He didn't have many friends in Carnation. People described him as quiet, polite, even awkward. But he was also vulnerable, easily swayed, especially by someone as emotionally charged as Michelle. Michelle told Joseph about her frustrations, that her family didn't respect her, that they didn't help her, that they treated her like a failure. She also claimed Scott had borrowed $40,000 from her and never paid her back. In her mind, she had been used, ignored, and left behind. And Joseph, who was already detached from reality, started to believe it too. By mid-2006, Joseph had quietly purchased 2 firearms, a Smith & Wesson Model 19 Magnum revolver and a 9mm semi-automatic pistol. The pair didn't talk to anyone about what they were thinking, but the seeds were there. A plan was forming. Michelle often spoke bitterly about her parents, that they didn't treat her fairly, that they loved her brother more, that she didn't matter. Then in 2007, the final straw came. After years of letting her live rent-free, her parents asked Michelle to start paying rent for the trailer on their land. To her, it was betrayal. After everything, they wanted money. They talked about cutting ties, about leaving. But first, Michelle said they had to take care of unfinished business. While families across America gathered for Christmas dinners and exchanged gifts, Michelle and Joseph got into their car and headed for her parents' home. Judy was in the back room wrapping presents for her grandchildren. Wayne was elsewhere in the house. Joseph walked in first, hiding his weapon. He distracted Judy with small talk. Michelle approached Wayne with her gun. She aimed and pulled the trigger, but it jammed. In a panic, Joseph stepped in. He raised his gun and shot Wayne. Judy heard the gunfire and rushed in. She screamed when she saw Wayne's body, but Joseph turned the gun on her. He later said he looked her in the eye, apologized, and then pulled the trigger. The parents were dead. Michelle and Joseph dragged their bodies to a nearby shed and tried to clean the blood with towels and chemicals, but they didn't have much time. Scott and his family were on their way. About 45 minutes later, Scott arrived with Erica and their 2 young children. Michelle greeted them at the door. She pulled her gun and fired. Scott tried to protect his family, but was shot 4 times. One of the bullets hit his neck. He died within seconds. Erica was hit twice, but stayed conscious. She spotted a cordless phone, crawled behind the couch, and dialed 911. The call went through, but Joseph saw her and ripped the phone away, smashing it to pieces. She begged for her children's lives. He shot her in the head. Now only Olivia and Nathan remained. Michelle couldn't do it. She turned to Joseph. He whispered an apology, raised his gun, and shot Olivia. She didn't have time to react. Nathan was on the floor, quietly playing with the phone's broken batteries. Joseph later said the boy looked up at him, as if he knew what was coming. Then he shot him too. 6 lives gone. 3 generations erased. Michelle locked the gate to delay police. When deputies responded to Erica's 911 call, they couldn't get in. The house was quiet. A neighbor said they hadn't seen anything unusual, so the police left. Michelle and Joseph had bought themselves a little more time. They packed and fled. First, they headed toward Canada, then changed course to Oregon. But 2 days after the murders, they made the mistake of driving back near the crime scene, maybe out of guilt, maybe curiosity. Police spotted them. Something felt off. They were detained. At first, they lied. They said they were going to Vegas to get married, but Michelle cracked. She broke down crying. She confessed everything. Joseph followed. Both were arrested and charged with 6 counts of first-degree murder. What followed was years of legal back and forth, psychological evaluations, hearings, motions, delays. Michelle claimed she planned the murders. Joseph claimed he was manipulated into it. Prosecutors wanted the death penalty. The public wanted it too. But in 2013, the judge ruled it out. The defense argued that both defendants had severe mental health issues, though the court ultimately held them responsible. Michelle and Joseph were sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. There is no surviving Andersons, no one left to tell their story, except those of us who still remember. Do you believe Michelle and Joseph should have received the death penalty, or was life in prison enough? Let us know what you think in the comments, and if you want more haunting true crime stories, subscribe our channel.